All right, good afternoon, everybody. The minutes have been distributed. The only change between the minutes that were first emailed out and the current version in front of people has to do with Chautauqua County EMS. There was discussion about that agency. No action was taken, but it was originally in point number 7 of old business in the meeting minutes. It has been removed. So I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes with that amendment. Thank you. Second. I'm sorry, Josette, go ahead.
I move that we approve it.
Okay, good. All in favor?
As you state.
Any opposed? Good. CMAC SEMSCO report, Dr. Walters. Well, while you're doing that, Karen would like to see who's on the phone. What Wremac members are on the phone? Dr. Toysher is. Who else?
Mark.
Hi, Mark.
Mike Falk.
Hi, Mike. All right, and what other?
Wade Schwab, Big Lake Council.
Thank you. And what non-members are on the phone?
Bill Wilson, I'm sorry, you
Dan Amfeld, Chautauqua County.
Connie Manhausen, Allegheny County.
Dr. Walters, CMAC SEMSCO.
Yes, so the CMAC meeting was January 15th, I believe. And I'll kind of go through a couple of the highlights. There was some discussion from the Bureau, from the Director of the Bureau, on developing some statewide quality metrics for EMS agencies. This is something that they can benchmark against other agencies. His, I think, idea, and then you can jump in or John, is to start with something relatively small in the first year, maybe picking 5 quality metrics, simple things that could probably be run out of EPCRs, looking at things like maybe something like aspirin testing and time to 12 leads, stroke or trauma pre-notification, things like that, and something that would then grow throughout time, just to kind of add a standard to what we do, and for agencies who maybe don't have robust QA to give them ideas of what they should be looking at and how we can use that data statewide. So those list of metrics haven't been chosen yet, but there was a lot of discussion on that, and I think there'll be more coming up at the main meeting. There was some discussion on the pediatric epinephrine dosage for check and inject or syringe epinephrine, whichever you'd like to call it. As a lot of you know, there was a recall from Foundry of the special syringes that were made for the state that had the 2 lines, the adult and the pediatric line. And the reason they were recalled was not because of an issue with the syringe, but it was because that was an off-label dose of epinephrine, an off-label FDA, I guess, dose. Because the FDA-approved dose is actually weight-based, not the standard 0.15 milligrams like it is in an EpiPen Junior. And so because of that, I'm sure some lawyer at Boundary had to recall them, but not that there's any issue with the syringes. After a lot of discussion, the CMAC felt that there obviously is a lot of data on using that dosage of 0.15 milligrams for pediatrics, and that most studies looked at it in EMS in the pre-hospital world, and that is the dose that we should continue to use just for, I guess, simplicity's sake. It has been left up then to the agency medical directors whether they will allow the old syringes or the ones with the 2 lines, the adult and pediatric line, to be used for their basically including syringe epinephrine. But the Bureau policy has not changed in that regard. And the Bureau is also developing some artwork, is what they called it, to, I guess, to help add to the understanding of the policy or how syringe epinephrine works. And I think that's supposed to be coming out sometime by I don't know if there's any discussion on that or any questions.
Would it be watercolor or?
I thought it was going to be a mural, actually.
Okay.
I was painter.
Airbrush. Airbrush. Very good. Very good.
discussion on the ELS protocols, which have now been approved by the CMAC and the SEMSCO, and looking to roll those out. The target date was sometime in August was originally discussed. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not. Be a little bit of education based on that, but it'll be very close to being in line with what's in the collaborative protocols now. Any new changes will be reflected and updated in the collaborative protocols as well. That rollout is supposed to coincide to try to keep things simple, but try to roll out at the same time the AMT changes that were previously approved in the collaborative protocols, and a few other little changes such as the FEVA protocol, Toradol being moved to standing order, and a few other minor revisions that we're preparing. I don't think it'd be too earth-shattering for us. There was some discussion, and I wasn't at the education and training meeting, so somebody can jump in, on the CC to paramedic bridge, which now I believe the first class is underway utilizing that bridge. And I'm not sure if Donna or Ron or any other, got any other information on that. Well, either
The only
bridge program
thing,
specifically.
in education, they talked about the new CME requirements, and supposedly we are supposed to get all the documents in May.
For the updated CME research. Hopefully that will come out. Was there any other discussion on the CC bridge at all or anything?
So we have,
For Jamestown, we had, we did put in, as a co-sponsor, make it available. We had students enroll, and they have sent me an application to fill out for the dates and times for a June class training. So we'll see who signs up there.
NU and N-Trip are both running it. We have 2 students each that are current in that first round. And like he mentioned, there is a projected date of June for the next rollout.
Only in general, course sponsorship has 1 student enrolled in the group.
Right, so you have 5 total. Okay, great. Any other questions for Dr. Walters or anything to add?
The other thing was that, that the age change to take the EMT test at 17 is now in effect, so everyone's aware of that as they go through.
Was there any discussion on expanding the AEMT level of care, including pediatric skills or education?
There was not any discussion at this meeting. There were changes in the previous meeting, some things that were added to in the collaboratives at the AMT level. I don't have a list of those changes. I don't know.
I believe at the meeting they also changed, they added Tylenol and Motrin to advanced level and up for fever and first line pain control.
Correct. That was in the protocol. But I think specifically what you're asking for, skill-wise for the AMT level, I don't know. I'll try and get a list from Dr. Folger and see if that's.
Well, there was discussion too of tag for the AEMT to make sure it aligned with national standards. Everything put together.
Was that in training and ed?
Or training and
Don't think people will like some of the results of that comparison.
Okay. Because I think we're actually ahead of a number of things in terms of doing more procedures. And I think if they actually take a look at that, more things will come out and go further.
Yeah, my fear is that we're just reinventing the CC level of care.
Yes. Okay.
Hey, Brian.
Yes, sir.
Brian.
Oh, I'm sorry, Brian.
Just a distinction, the training and tag, I believe, was curriculum-based, not intervention-based.
Got it.
Making sure the curriculum's aligned with national curriculum.
Understood.
And as far as the interventions, notes I have from the discussion to Todd's question was adding back albuterol and IMEPI for asthma and anaphylaxis that were inadvertently omitted. Nitroglycerin on standing order for ACS and as a med control option for pulmonary edema and needle decompression.
Great. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes. Anything else on CMAX? Great. All right, a couple things. I had a conversation with representative from Roswell Park in early January. They were inquiring about, would it be possible for them to take primary ambulance traffic in the future? I explained to them that the two things that would have to happen, for that to happen, would be one, Wremac would have to relax its policy that says only Article 28s can be transported to. And second, we would then have to start creating a list of non-Article 28s that you could transport to and have to put Roswell on it if that was the will of the body. I have not heard back from them since then, so there is no immediate action to take on this. But that would be the process that would have to happen if that was the direction everybody would want it to go.
Brian?
Why would you want it to go that way?
I have
From a patient care standpoint, that seems to be, I'm sure you've been on the receiving
Yeah.
end of a lot of staff.
I don't know enough.
Advantage there.
I don't know enough about it to recommend it or not recommend it at this point. So all I was able to tell them was the process, and I'm certainly more than happy to meet with them more to try to create a plan that we can further.
Where do they transport them to?
They have they have a urgent care ER hybrid operation there already. So it's more than a clinic, and they are able to direct the crew there. But you're right, people who have to go ambulance are going to other hospitals then, and then a second transfer later on.
I mean, I can't see there being a problem on our end. Everybody's saying it's a bad thing. I think the problem is on their end. Are they willing to embrace the logistics before they receive that? And that's the bigger issue.
Right, the
You have to be like, sure, go ahead. That's the patients. But their current walk-in clinic is probably well advertised to their own ambulatory patients.
Right.
So, that's the big issue.
And I think the challenge is also, if they stand up with a very particular patient population in mind, once you open the traffic to ambulance, you're going to get more than just the patient population you would like to get. And so those are the kind of the logistics that we would have to work out with them before we could bring something to the body to the webinar.
I do think it's probably something that we need to look at in the future though, about ultimate transport.
Yeah, especially-
Destinations, especially with like the ET3 things coming out from HHS and that, it might be, I don't know if we can do something now, but I think as that starts to roll forward, that's going to need to be something that we look at, relaxing that policy or voting for those destinations.
Yeah, absolutely. The Catholic Health System facilitates some grants to support BLS 12 lead devices for some of the BLS agencies. I believe the first of those is on the agenda today for approval. We had asked for some technical advice from the state and from the gentleman from Albany, Dr. Daly, who had written a policy on it. They had given us some feedback about device specifications for approval, and it was their recommendation at this point that those devices did not meet criteria to be put into service. We'll come back to that in new business, but it'll be my recommendation at that time that we don't vote on those agencies up or down, but that we just table those agencies that are going to use those devices more to come. LVO stroke scale. The two main comprehensive stroke centers have been each trying to push out LVO stroke scales, which I think is a good thing, but they're using two different scales as they discuss that. And so my question for the body is, do we have a volunteer or two to take a look at this for our next meeting and try to see, is there a regional approach to this? I think there's three possible choices. There's four, but the fourth is we chest pain. Choice number one is we stay out of the comprehensive stroke scale business. One is we use the stroke scale recommended by one comprehensive stroke center. The other is we use the one recommended by the other comprehensive stroke center. And the fourth, which will give me chest pain, is we pick a whole new stroke scale that's not one of the other two. That is unacceptable, please. Is there one or two people who would like to take the issue of LVO stroke scales for our next meeting? Jason? Is there perhaps a doc from Catholic Health that would also like to do that? Thank you. I think that would be a good start. Yes, Brian?
Not volunteering for anything.
You haven't left yet. Wait till you leave. Yeah.
just another fourth recommendation is I
Yeah.
know that the American Heart Association Mission Lifeline came with guidelines has been big on this, as well as Dr. Young, maybe soliciting their input as well.
Absolutely.
Or a fourth option.
Absolutely.
I think if, well, option, right, I think the choices are pretty clear, one or the other.
Right.
Nobody wants to check.
Yeah,
it, so, I mean,
yeah.
Let's just, rather than get any more input from anybody else.
And to be honest, I suspect that neither hospital feels super strongly as to which one, and really just wants, we just want a single answer for our providers to make it simple if we're gonna push this out or not. So thank you, gentlemen. EpiSafe syringes, Dr. Walters covered well, so we can move along. Any questions for me? Trauma Advisory Committee report, Dr. Moses.
Our tech meeting has been planned for April 24th at 9:30. Invitations will be sent out shortly. The RTech will be looking at data related to primary and secondary transports to trauma centers, which includes destination decisions and times. This is a statewide PI project. May is National Stop the Bleed Month. May 23rd is Stop the Bleed Day. We're looking to get a large number of people trained in the month of May or shortly after. We need a bunch of courses listed on the site for the public. So please consider hosting a course or joining Mercy Flight and trauma centers to teach classes. We are looking to do like a big one, so if anybody wants to help, please let us know. The instructor qualifications list has been expanded by the American College of Surgeons. Now, sworn police officers, dietitians, pharmacists, physical therapists are some of the people that have been added to the list that can teach. Unfortunately, BLS instructors and health teachers are still not on the list, but we are continuing to advocate for that change. Stop the Bleed equipment, training equipment is now available for instructors to borrow in all 8 counties of Western New York. The list was shared with the program agencies and the instructors that I'm aware of. There is a trauma reach, trauma management for rural EMS and community hospital workshop on May 9th at the Genesee River Restaurant and Reception Center in Mount Morris. $45 includes breakfast, lunch, and CMEs. You can see the websites listed there for more information. The New York State Collaborative Protocol app was recently updated for ECMC. There is now a selection for calling pre-notification report. This is the second option of the 2. Please use this option for calling report and reserve the med direction line for obtaining orders only. There's a flyer there with details. That's it.
Any questions for Beth? Yeah, please don't call the docs for pre-notification in ECMC because they're very bad at taking pre-notifications. I'm one of them, I can say that. Nurse Advisory Committee report, Bruce Trepaz or anyone else? Program agency reports, Lake Plains.
Good afternoon. I have all my classes listed on the schedule. The only change to this would be I received yesterday notification that Genesee County is going to be hosting their advanced EMT course, original and refresher, starting May 3rd. If anybody's interested, I did put the information out, but if you're interested, please just get in touch with me. St. Johnsburg and Tri-Community are both requesting a change from Dr. Brown to Dr. Franco. Had quite a few PAD notifications. The only addition to this is I did receive notification after I sent this that Albion Police Department also wanted to be added for PAD notification. Pavilion looking to do naloxone, Frontier Fire for syringe epi, and as well as Frontier Fire looking for CPAP and blood glucose. I did finally receive validation from the state. I have a instructor update class scheduled May 4th, Genesee County Fire Training Center. It's 2 sessions, 2 3-hour sessions. You can attend one or both. That information has been put out. Anybody's interested, please go to Lake Plains EMS website and sign up for that. Just want to make aware that the Bureau has put out a new Facebook group. We call it a group, it's not a page. And I encourage all providers in the region to please sign up for that. There's been a lot of information already being used on that. And it's a great resource between both the state and the providers that are out there. We mentioned the CC Bridge program that NTRIP and NU both have 2 students. Things are going well so far. There have been no issues at this point. Lake Plains has partnered with STEMS on the PEC program. We have, I think I've sent 5, and I actually just got one yesterday, so I'll be adding another PEC agency from my region with that. And I won't take Donna's thunder because I'm sure she'll talk about it anyways. And if anybody's interested, the enrollment for awards for Vital Signs, EMS Provider of the Year, AOS Provider of the Year, it's coming up. If anybody knows anybody in my region, or probably any region, I know for me the deadline, the applications need to be submitted by April 5th so I can get it to the REMSCO for approval in time. Other than that, I have nothing else. The meeting dates for future meetings are listed on there.
Great. Any questions for Rob? Sims?
So our report is included, just a few highlights. I am excited to tell you we had our first case review with Oceanside Children's Hospital. They actually took a case from our area and then reviewed it all the way through, and the hospital was included, only in general was included. So we feel like we had really good feedback from that, and we will continue to do more of those. Again, as Robert said, we have been really pushing the PEC. We have a lot in our area, so we're pretty excited about that. Some upcoming events we have our spring training. It is getting full, so if you want to come, Dr. Greenberg, Director Greenberg is our keynote speaker, and we're closing with Dr. Walter. He's going to be our closer. EMS Week, the state has a focus for EMS Week, which is May 19th to the 25th. And this year's theme is the On the Call. They are asking, and I believe it's on the 19th Sunday, they would like all agencies to kind of get out into the community and do something, whether that's just education, stop-the-bleed program, a CPR class. And if you are doing any of that, they would like to know. I would, from our submissions, like to pull Ripley Hose Company, because that was the one of ours that has a machine that doesn't meet the requirements. So I would ask that you pull that. Besides that, we just move on.
Any questions for Donna? UVMD?
Circulated a number of communication notices as well as training notices. We too have our conference coming up on April 12th and 13th. It's Friday night and Saturday, and it will be at Salvatore's. The cost remains $95. It's unchanged, and if you want them to come, you have to feed them. And so Salvatore's, we actually have a buffet for both Friday and Saturday. So going to be some great food, great presentations, and we're looking forward to it. I included some notes from the conference call. Each month, the program agencies have a conference call with the Bureau Director and staff, and I've included some of the notes from that. Actually, it's the March meeting. It says 1-2. It's not. It's from the March meeting. But one thing separate from that, to close out my report, we are getting a number of requests for preceptor training courses again, and just so everybody is aware where we're at, and this is specific to the Wyoming-Erie region, we had 384 people trained as preceptors in the Wyoming-Erie region. At the present time, 73 of those 384 are offline, which leaves us with 311 preceptors in 2 counties. And so I don't think I really need an answer today, and whether you want to have discussion on this today or revisit it down the road. A part of it is that I am getting calls, people concerned, they don't think there's enough preceptors, and so I think we have to think about what our preceptor program means. Maybe we need to go through a process of re-vetting preceptors who took the course a couple of years ago, and I'm not saying, this is kind of specific to Wyoming-Erie. Maybe this already exists in that capacity in other regions. We haven't, but I do think we probably, before I offer more classes, unless you direct me otherwise, I kind of want to put that on the back burner until we can really understand if we have an adequate number of preceptors. My opinion is that we can't have everybody in the region be a preceptor. It kind of like defeats the purpose of the program. But if you feel that we should continue to offer programs and view the vetting process or re-vetting process as something different, I'm happy to do that, but I would like feedback from you as a committee, as the medical advisory committee, so that we can do this the right way and in the way that you want us to do it.
I guess my concern is I wouldn't want to do anything more restrictive between now and the deadline, which is a few months away, right? I think, I think it's an interesting discussion to have about whether we need to re-up previously approved people or not, but I think it would cause a problem if all of a sudden in March and April, we said preceptors or previously approved can't do it for a July 1st deadline.
I'm not advocating.
Yeah. Is there any, so I guess there's two questions, right? One question is there a sunset date, right? And then, is it, right?
There is no sunset at this point in time.
Right.
Other than if you're offline, you can't be a preceptor.
Reasonable.
I think we can all agree with that one.
And then the other question is, should we in the short term have more classes? Well, so I guess I'd ask the three program agencies, do you perceive there's a need to make more preceptors between now and the upcoming deadline?
Not in our region, and we tend to do skill fairs, so we pick people in bigger venues.
Yeah, I think, sorry, I jump in. So I think it's got to, I agree with your point, we don't want too many preceptors, it defeats the purpose, and there's a whole point of having a standard, not everyone who wants to be a preceptor is necessarily qualified for that. At the same time, I think there are a few select people that maybe have come in the area, advanced in their agency, who are in some type of training capacity, or who are not, probably should be approved preceptors, but are not, and maybe it is good to allow for that to some degree. Now, whether that happens in a small invite-only class for some of those people, on the approval of their medical director, maybe that's a better way than opening it up and just approving large-scale type of things like we have done in the past. I don't know what the answer is, but I think that there are probably a handful of people, I would assume in every area, that fit that category.
I would say that I have probably a sufficient amount. My problem, I think, is I don't have them in the right area.
Right.
I'm concentrated in one specific area, and then you go to a different area and have like nothing. So, I mean, if I ended up having to do a class, it would be to get more people in the right area, but then that may overload my region for that purpose.
I don't know what other people's thoughts are, but I mean, I think sort of leaving this in the hands of the program agency in the short term to see if they think there's a need in their area to run one, then that's great. You guys know the areas best. And then I think revisiting the issue after this current series of skills and CME cycle to figure out what we want to do going forward makes sense. Anyone see that any differently or have any other thoughts? All right. Thank you, Scott. Any other questions for Scott?
I think just to add into that, part of that problem is you might have people staying in the agency. What was that total number again, Scott? 300?
311 that are currently online.
Are they currently working in the region?
If they're online, they have an association, yeah. So they have an agency association and they maintain privileges.
Because I feel like part of the problem is you might have people leave the agency. Every agency typically does this internally, I feel like. And each agency to do that probably needs at least 5 or 6 preceptors. And maybe that person quits that agency, now they need to fill that role. So the problem might be they're still finished your course, but maybe not actually practicing that agency, whether the agency now needs to leave. That's what I would think.
Yeah, and actually one of the other things that we tend to see with this is, Don is the EMS officer this year, and that's part of what comes with that job. You're still a member of the agency, you're no longer there, but you're still identified as a preceptor. Maybe you already aren't functioning, but now the next guy comes in and they want to have it. And so we do see that. I mean, I'm definitely sympathetic to that. But I just think we have to be really careful about having actually put the preceptor.
Totally agree with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, how many are in the region? I'm just beginning to, I don't know.
EMS services or providers?
Providers.
We're right around 2,000 providers, but you gotta keep my Buffalo Fire represents a big number of that too. So,
And it hasn't been very, we added, like, the people leave, we might have to.
Well, it's probably something about hundreds of bodies. Is there any thought to creating a certification deadline or certification expiration for these people, and have some kind of simple online training they have to do to update their certification every couple of years? Because that would be one function here, and the other one would just fall off. Practicing online and people training.
I think that's a great idea. Yeah.
and that's something we can easily do, but I wouldn't want to do it right now. For the
Understood.
exact
Yeah.
reason I just get.
No, but I think that's a good idea. This could be a list that we could have a lot of dead space on, for lack of a better word, you know.
So that we don't lose this, is there any way that maybe we could add this as an old business
Yep.
item for a future agenda meeting, just that we can come back, circle around to it, because we'll forget about it.
Absolutely.
Collaborative protocols, Dr. Walter didn't add.
No, what we discussed already. The small changes based on the BLS updates, or the new protocols should be coming out at the same time as the tentative date sometime in August. But I guess it depends on when those BLS protocols can roll out.
Hey, Brian?
Yes, sir.
Just a couple questions for the Brian. Had a meeting this week, and some of the agencies said that the medical direction control numbers for some of the hospitals were incorrect. Yeah. Specifically, they said Kenmore and DeGraff, so, and who's in charge of that? Or-
I believe it's
All-day
central,
program
isn't it?
agency. Right?
Yeah, but you can let any three of us know if it's wrong, we'll.
Okay, I think we should probably just check to,
I thought
reaffirm.
they did,
So we've done this about 3 times.
so if it's wrong, it surprises me.
Okay.
If it's wrong, it's gotta get fixed. We just have to, we've had a couple of times to try to get this holistically managed and thought we had this validated, and there were a couple that definitely fell through the cracks in the first attempt. Yeah.
Is it possible that people are just not updating the app after the changes have been made? And they're using an old version?
No, because it kind of forces you into a
It
new
forces you?
version.
Okay.
Do you know what the hospital, Kenmore Nursing said?
So, he told me Kenmore and DeGraff.
Do you know what those numbers are, Brian?
No.
Could one of the program agencies just call the numbers tomorrow and see if we find the doctors? Let's just run the app. Is that okay? Like,
Is there anything coming by, there was a discussion over here regarding that it doesn't work for Android? Is that getting fixed?
so our biggest challenge with the app is the beggars can't be choosers problem, right? So we pay $0.00 for the app. We have in the past had the idea of trying to fund it ourselves. That has never been possible. So we're sort of at their mercy if there's an app problem, because we don't pay them anything for it.
No, I get that. I wasn't aware that Android didn't work.
I wasn't aware of any,
We paid.
yeah, we paid for it.
We paid.
But anytime there's changes need to be made, if someone just lets one of the three of us know, we can email Susie and, we took care of the phone number pretty quick.
Yeah, if it doesn't work for Android, that doesn't affect our reach. That'd be a big thing.
I haven't heard that, so if you want to send those people one of us, then.
Yep.
So
Do you have an
it,
Android?
yeah, I have.
All
an
right,
Android.
lay it on us.
So if you click Meg Control with an Android, it does not allow you to call what iPhones do. It hasn't been personally a problem for me because I just wrote down all the numbers and programmed them into my phone. So if I need them, I just pull them up. But for some people that don't want to do that, there could be an issue. or especially any new providers that are coming in that are relying on the app for the phone numbers. And I have had an issue where I don't call med direction or pre-arrivals for Kemble Mercy or South Buffalo Mercy very often, so I don't personally have their numbers. So to be able to hit that button and be able to call would really save some time, especially if I'm coming in with something that I really need to do it. Fortunately for where I work, I do have the option of just giving a report over the radio and having that get relayed to the hospital. But then again, I'm also relying on a few people listening to the recording and getting back to the hospital appropriately.
So have you seen if you have an update?
I just got a new phone and I just re-downloaded the app, so it should be the most up-to-date
And it's not
app.
calling?
And it does
Okay.
not call.
All right.
Brian, the only other thing I had for the other Brian, in terms of like changing protocols or, you know, if we see a problem with something, does the state take suggestions from us at this level, or?
So the answer is yes, it's not the state, or the collaborative protocol group is a group of Wremac, basically, that joined, all decided to come up with the same protocols. So we typically meet, unless there's some big overhaul, we have conference calls in between, we typically tend to meet at the CMAC and the SEMSCO to discuss changes and things like that, although we can certainly provide feedback input in between for things that.
All right, I'll send some, there's just one thing I'll send to you then.
Absolutely, we can forward it along.
Great, QI.
No report.
Sir. Cardiac arrest field termination. Okay. Wremac policy review. We are still waiting to get the final stuff back from the CMAC changes, but again, there will be no changes to the skill demonstration requirements that are due this session. So,
What were the specific skills that we were looking at?
there were questions about needle decompression. I just think the blanket statement of
Pediatric.
the thing that's on the website, that's been on the website for months now, is the answer. And we can figure out what we want to do later on, but that is the answer. We don't want to have to change things halfway through.
Right, so, just because I'm looking at, Dr. Fuller just sent me the newest updated version of the collaborative that was all agreed upon. There, in the AEMT scope, there is no pediatric intubation in there. It looks like pediatric intubation, less in order, only the paramedic level. If that helps. That's your question. And then, was the other question, field decompression?
Yep.
It's approved in this setting of cardiac arrest, the trauma code.
Yeah. Standing order for cardiac arrest,
Yeah, at the AMT level, standing order for cardiac arrest.
which implies that you can call for it in the non-cardiac arrest.
Correct, but it is.
Nomination for Wremac Chair and Vice Chair. I am happy to report that Dr. O'Brien is returning to Western New York this summer. And I have kept his seat warm for him, and he better take it back.
Does he still have time left on his term that you're filling in?
That's a great, yeah, I guess it's another 6 months, no matter what.
Did we actually approve his letter of resignation? Or you're just the interim person, he automatically goes right back in that seat?
Eric keeps trying to take the interim off the letterhead, and I won't let her.
We can make sure the minutes reflect however we need it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, right, seriously. So, new business, we'll go.
Wait, do we get to nominate Dr. O'Brien right now?
Sure.
I would like to nominate him.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, we'll wait for next, we'll table that for next meeting, so it'll be all ready in the hopper to be voted on immediately upon him being notified. Okay, new business, Chautauqua County EMS, we'll do some of these one at a time and then we'll get through the rest. So Chautauqua County EMS requests a letter from Wremac to establish admission with CON at the paramedic level. That was what the discussion at the last meeting was about. And so they're looking for a provisional letter of approval, which of course is contingent on getting everything through the state and whatnot. But they need that for the ALS level. So there was a long discussion about this at the last meeting. I don't think further discussion is needed, I hope. But I think that should be something that we would be supportive of, so they can get the rest of their application in. Any discussion about that? Okay, is there a motion for me to sign that letter? Motion, is there a second? Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Good. Variant is in the southern tier. Can you explain what their setting is?
I am told they are underground and they're working with chemicals, and if
So-
anything ever happened,
So they're under contract with the U.S. Army to dispose of chemical weapons and desiccants and things of that nature. They will not have a pediatric patient on that facility.
Their CON is limited to their facility only.
Yeah.
We just did their full service inspection.
Yeah.
And they, at any one time, is somewhere between 8 and 14 adults that are trained in their facility, and they do deal with chemical biological warfare agents and such. So their response capacity is simply to treat that populace, and then maybe some of the gear that glow in the dark surrounding them. But they're looking for a waiver from the Remac for the ALS capabilities for pediatric.
Do they still have to carry BLS pediatric stuff?
So the department can exempt that, but we're going to require the ALS exemption first.
Okay. What's up? That's the whole point. They don't want to have pediatric stuff, so they're asking for approval to not have pediatric stuff in their adult superfund chemical weapons site. which seems like a good idea to me.
As opposed to a pediatric superfund chemical.
Right. They could tell us where it is, but then they'd have to kill us. So, is there any further? This seems like an easy yes. Is there any further discussion on this? Is there a motion to give them a waiver for ALS, pediatric, and infant supplies?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank
Double
you.
secret second.
All in favor? All in favor? Any opposed? All right. Dr. Coolidge is the new Remac representative from Olean General. He has been approved by the regional council. Okay, and he's eligible to be seated at the next meeting. Bullet point 4 is the Remac representative for the MAC. There was a question that came through the regional council and then was sent to the state for clarification regarding the MAC's status. And when you ask one question, sometimes you get answers to 2 different questions. And so the guidance that we got from the state was that the MAC is in fact a hospital, and the MAC should be eligible to have a representative, and that St. Joe's is not a hospital, and that is covered as part of Sisters. And as such, there should be a MAC representative, which there is currently not, and there should not be a St. Joe's representative, although there currently is. So based on, I discussed this with Brian, I think that's the reasonable recommendation based on the bylaws as they are currently written. If we want to do something different, I think that's reasonable. But in the current setting, that's what we would do. So we would ask the MAC to put somebody forward at some point.
So are we obligated to do that? Having worked in all those places, I know what the state deems them, but the reality is that St. Joe's is a hospital. So that was where we all know why that went down. So we're sheltering in bed, but the reality is it's a hospital.
So we are, it is certainly at our discretion to change the bylaws to add that. And I think that's a very reasonable thing to do.
The MAC, if the issue.
And we're under no obligation to seat somebody for the MAC.
Yeah, I am
it is
MAC,
available.
my CEO deems me to MAC.
Yeah.
So, but the MAC does accept ambulance track record, so, but not nearly as much as St. Joe's.
Right.
So I think that we should move to change that designation. If we want to continue with the MAC, we can, but I think St. Joe's should be deemed a hospital as part of our operation.
So I think, so the first nice thing is that rarely are things contentious here. Most things come, collaboratively discussed. But I think that if someone was to write a proposed amendment, we just have to figure out how to word it. But I think having representation from St. but I am certainly appreciative of the state's feedback, and they are right based on the letter of our case, and so I think we just need to change our bylaws to correct this, and I think the state will be supportive of that.
I think when we do that, I think it does make sense. I think when we do, we also have to think about if we do start to change the relaxed destination policy for requiring us to go to an Article 28 facility, then you have to say, well, that Roswell fits in.
Right.
So that, see, and I think that that's a slippery slope. I think that it goes from the high volume versus
so
other potential.
And that's the reason why, because I think there's the reality of what we deal with, and there's the letter of the state.
Yep.
If St. Joseph was a place like the Mac, you know, where there wasn't a lot of traffic,
Yep.
like probably just the facts and the reality.
Yep, I totally agree. I think the reason that I don't have a pre-written, here's the amendment to vote on right now, is because I just want us to think about how we want to do this. I think we all agree what the end result should look like, but Brian is right in terms of what's going to happen in the future with other destinations. How do we, what category do we want this to fit in? I think it's a good question to figure out. I think we're all in agreement that 4 months from now, it should be on the list, and we should have a vote.
So Brian, they are two separate things. So one is a bylaw issue and another is a policy issue. Okay, because our bylaws state that each hospital has a representative that sits on the Wremac.
Right.
So that would be the bylaw change. In terms of facilities and transporting Article 28, that's policy.
Absolutely.
What I'm saying is that when we do that bylaw change, that we should think about the implications in the future if we do allow transport from non-Article 28 facilities, because we probably don't want to have a representative from every urgent care center or dialysis unit or whatever we decide to do.
I mean, that's probably, I would say that sort of transportation is something way down the line, and that's the sea change in the way practice medicine is coming in a decade or two. But Roswell Park, I mean, going to Roswell, I mean, let's all be clear, that's a de facto hospital. It's supposed to be an office. That's what the safety is. But it's the same sort of thing. I mean, there's a reality that I think that we should deal with Roswell as a separate, you carve out a, you know, in our bylaws.
Yeah.
We could specifically deal with Roswell, I think, without having to get even maybe crazy about the urgent care center.
I think that's going to come sooner than we think, though, with the ET3 stuff from CMS.
It certainly could. It certainly could. But
They're scheduled to pilot that program in the next year.
But I agree, an urgent care center that takes 3 ambulances and the whole night.
I agree, it doesn't need.
We're going to need a much bigger table. Right. Okay. I think we're all on the same page. Just got to figure out how to do it. Perhaps one way to think about it is volume based, right? A destination that takes more than one ambulance in a year, I think is a reasonable approach, which would include them, and then also not have us keep changing the bylaws over and over again, but have that a general fee. Same way we don't name every single hospital that falls into Article 28 section. So that's probably a reasonable approach. There are a list of medical director changes in front of us. Oh, sorry, anything else on that? There is and so, speaking of bylaws, no?
Oh, no, that's fine. I was just saying, leaving your guidance for the next
So the guidance for the immediate guidelines.
Approve the MAC.
Is approve the MAC.
Nothing else right now.
Yes, please. And the St. Joe's representative in the short term is no longer active. You can share that, but that's not something that you need to take action on.
Yeah, can you,
I'll write a letter to you.
I was like, Karen, can you write a letter for Brian to sign to?
That was implied. No, it's just, that's gonna be my point of order based on what I got from the state. Medical director changes. Dr. Franco, Dr. Tackett, and Dr. Kralzak, are any of them at or above 10 agencies?
No, I actually just looked up Dr. Franco is on a request from another doctor, and he is not above 10.
Dr. Kralzak? And is Dr. Tackett above 10? With these?
I would say he's going to be at 10 or above. I can pull it up in the portal now, but I'd say he's either at it or just over it.
Okay.
Because of the recent changes.
I thought these put him above it. If you didn't Even if you don't count the assistant journal roles, I think the primary ones, I think just pick them above it on the list.
If you give me about 30 seconds, I can.
Okay, we will forge ahead through the event, through the agenda and come back to that then. So let's do the remainder in mass unless there are objections. Yes.
Something on 6.
Oh, please.
Is that where you're going to?
Okay, no, let's do 6, go ahead.
So, one of the agencies on here is Wremac changing from CC to paramedic. Don, do you want to address this, or you want me to?
So, Savannah Fire Department recently underwent a full-service inspection, and during such, it was determined as part of a recertification issue that they were approved by the department at the EMT/CC level of care. They have unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you look at it, been under the impression for the last number of years that they were operating at the paramedic level of care and had been approved as such in their mindset because they had submitted application to the recertification application to the state listing EMT paramedic with checkbox versus EMT/CC. The state submits or distributes recertification paperwork based on what they currently are approved for in our system. This agency downloaded the document and did it on their own and then submitted it to the state. So oftentimes we don't necessarily check the difference between CC and paramedic in the database. We validate that they have a controlled substance license. If they have one of those 2 boxes checked, and that the controlled substance license is active and valid. Obviously, in our region, we have predominantly treated CC agencies and paramedic agencies similarly, especially in the southern tier. This came to a situation when one of their paramedics attempted to research through the CME recertification program, and as a requirement of the CME recertification program, you have to be practicing at an agency that is approved at the level of care that you are attempting to recertify at. So, looking back at all of their stuff, and their medical director, in consultation with their medical director, Dr. Walters, thank you, who was also
thought they were a paramedic agency.
who also thought they were a paramedic agency and had signed the medical director verification form as such. The department's recommendation is that the agency, subsequently be approved at that level and potentially acknowledge that they may have been operating at that in advance of that.
Okay. How about that? Just something to add, Dr. Walter?
No, I guess the question was, some of the discussion was, should they be approved at the paramedic level if we decide to approve at the paramedic level and backdate it? Is that?
Acknowledging that they had potentially been practicing at that under your acknowledgement.
I don't know if that makes a difference or anything.
Did we ever approve them? Right, so, in the confusion over paperwork, we never approved them separately at the paramedic level. I guess my sense is today is a new day, but I'd be less.
Will this jam up the individual trying to reserve?
That issue's been resolved by the back of the record. So I would just move forward with today's approval and go forward.
I think that's where the discussion came up, was how it would affect that provider who thought he was,
He's
doing the right thing and recertifying the paramedic level. But since that's been addressed, I don't know if there's any reason that it would make a difference, I guess.
Yeah, he was approved, so.
PAD notifications are there. Epi-safe syringes, which we can continue to use if we want to. Array is there. EpiPen, BLS 12 lead, removing Ripley Hose Company. Houghton Volunteer and Trans Am are both using other devices. Correct. Houghton is south of North.
Houghton College.
Delegating College.
Okay. CPAP approval, albuterol approval, EPCR approval, naloxone approval, and blood glucometry approval. Is there a motion to accept 6 through 15 inclusive?
I have your answer for you for your.
Yep, second. Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed?
Dr. Clemens,
Yes.
these changes will put Dr. Tackett's at 17.
And I know, I think he does two, at least two in my region.
Does he have a waiver, is that the question?
Well, legal.
Does he have a waiver?
It's my understanding he's not.
Then I think if we're, so then if he's above 10 agencies, right, then we have to grant him a waiver to allow that, but if we're already in agreement that, of approving these medical director changes, then I would make the motion that we give him a waiver, granting him to go above 10 agencies, since he's compliant with just broken.
We didn't do him yet. We skipped second
Oh,
five.
sorry, I thought that was.
We just did 6 through 15 because we were waiting for 5. So we're coming back, we're doing 5 now.
Sorry about that. I might be going on.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what we need. No, we approved 6 through 15, now we're coming back to 5. So Tackett's, Dr. Tackett's needs a waiver in order for us to consider these medical direction changes. I think that's reasonable. I think also, if people are gonna take on more and more agencies, I think certainly giving them a waiver at this point is reasonable, but it's not a waiver like infinitum, like forever. And so if he was to take on more agencies, I think we'd have to revisit that again. 17 agencies is a lot of agencies. These in particular agencies, someone else has left, and he's been doing the work there for a period of time. So I think it's reasonable. Is there a motion to give Joe Tackett a waiver for a number of agencies?
I'll make the motion.
Second. Any other discussion on that?
You think we need to
Go
put
ahead.
a cap on maybe
That's
20?
That's sort of.
I think that's hard to do, because there's a lot of variables in the agencies, right? I mean, they can be small volume volunteer agencies, they can be large commercial agencies, right? There's certainly a difference there in between, and I don't know how you put a number of cap on it.
I don't know the right answer, but I think it's something for us to think about, and I think that this is, for more, if someone wants to take on more agencies, we can certainly discuss that, but I think we need to rethink about that each time, especially when we're up in the.
Certainly, I don't
It might
think
be
this body
appropriate.
should be in the business of jamming up squads who need
Right.
medical direction.
Right.
But I do think it may be prudent that we think about some sort of cap, because,
Yep.
it can quickly get out of hand.
Dr. Clemens, I
Yes.
think there is a state, either policy statement or it's in Article 30 relative to the number of providers.
Right, that's what the waiver's for, oral waiver, is my understanding. Unless you see it differently. Is there agencies or providers without a
I think
waiver?
it's up to 10 or
That's without,
150.
that's like.
Without a waiver.
Without
First
a,
look, right?
without a second medical director, it's not dead. Something like that.
You looking up?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make sure that those are quiet.
So there's a Wremac policy on this that is revised in 2017. It's 1995-2 is the policy, and it's the last item that is mentioned in there. Medical directors providing oversight for more than 10 agencies must apply for a waiver from the Wremac in order to exceed the New York State DOH BEM's 10 agency limit, with the exception of an emergency appointment of the Wremac chair as a temporary service medical director as described in policy 1999-5 and BEM's policy 11-03. I don't know if any of your policies that were referenced in here were revised at all. I am aware that regulation, I believe it's a regulation, Wremac, talks about number of providers. And I think the region, when this policy was first developed, they used terms based on what they felt the average number of providers were and how that played out at the time in relation to the state's requirement. So the state requirement, what I recall, is provider base. The region is the one that has the hard 10 for agencies.
Got it.
I'm pretty confident it's 100 without finding it.
So it says, I have it right here, it's in.
Thank you.
1103.
1103.
Yeah, and it says, physicians asked to serve as EMS agency medical director of BLS ambulance or first response services shall maintain a ratio of physician to certified providers that is no greater than 500 to 1. In advanced life support, ambulance or first response service must maintain a physician to certified provider ratio of no greater than 100 to 1. So 500 to 1 for BLS, 100 to 1 for BLS, so that's an agency requirement. And then, however, physician may not be the medical director for more than 10 services unless approved by the local region.
So we have a cap in place. I'm comfortable.
All right, is,
But I think as I read that, so I think it says that it's per agency 501 for BLS, or per agency 101 for ALS. It's how it reads. And I think if it's above that, then you need, an associate medical director or something. Is that
Correct.
right? But if you have a large ALS agency that has more than 100 ALS providers, then you just need a second medical director.
Correct. Which he's, with his large commercial service, there are 2 medical directors, so I don't know what that number actually is from a quantity sense, I don't think it should be over.
all right, so we have a motion and a second for his waiver. Right, let's vote on the waiver. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, and so now medical director changes for 5, now that the waiver's been approved. This is for all those agencies listed in 5, going from Brown to Franco, from Brown to Tackett's, and Youngberg to Clausen. Is there a motion? Thank you. Second? Good. All in favor? Any opposed? Is there any other new business before us? All right, thank you, friends. The next meeting is in May. It is in Olney. Motion for adjournment? Thank you. All right, we're out of here. Thanks, everybody.